Yards against Pittsburgh last week. He's averaging just under 115 rushing yards per game in his postseason career, second most all time, as you see, behind only the Hall of Famer Terrell Davis. Henry sat down with our Chris Berman during this, his first playoff run in Baltimore.
The Buffalo game early in the season. Home, first few minutes, 87 yards. Welcome to Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
They'll give it to Henry, right side, big hole. Oh, he's gone. He will go all the way.
That was electric, man. During that whole week, I kept telling my family, I said, that first play, I might go for a touchdown. And before I left the house, I was telling them, I was like, be ready for that first play because it might go.
And this house is going wild.
You're 6'3", 247. Nobody picked up ground on you.
That probably one of my fastest time. My back got a little tight. I thought somebody would end up catching me. I was just looking at the end zone, hoping I was going to get there because I was straining, and you can see it in my face. I was trying my hardest to get to the end zone, and thank God I did.
I'm going to give you a head of steam to get going.
Yeah.
When you're running at that speed, can you beat Lamar in a race?
Whew. I like me. I ain't even going to say he can beat me. I like me, yes. I feel like I could.
That's why I asked it. You ran for 1,921 yards. 1,900 yards or more has been done 11 times in pro football. You're the only one to do it twice. Pretty good.
Yeah.
31 years. Is it the crab cakes? Like, what is it? What's going on here?
I think it's just the whole scheme with the offense, our coaches.
Great job, man. Way to step through that tackle.
And I still remember being a young kid with my two cousins on Sunday nights, watching you go, whoop! To be the first to run for 1,900 yards twice. It's a surreal moment for me.
You're not the whoop type of back, although you know that was invented for Barry Sanders.
Yeah, for sure. I already know. I ended up seeing Barry at the Super Bowl weekend. I'm like, man, you rushed for 2,000 yards at 29 years old? He was like, yeah. You know, Barry, he's so nonchalant. He was like, yeah, I mean, I did. Like, I was like, man.
It is Barry.
I got to elevate my game even more as the older I get. So another motivational thing.
The playoffs have arrived as the Ravens welcome the Pittsburgh Steelers to town.
Henry to the 30, 25, 20, smashes a man, and he gets all the way down to the 14-yard line.
You look at the defender's eyes, maybe to get a hint on where they're leaning, or when you look, do you see them trying to figure out how am I going to deal with you?
You can see a little bit of both, especially like where we're at in the game from the first half, the second half, first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. And you got some that might want to calm it down. They've had enough, but it's a part of the game.
186 yards. Who else? Number 22.
What a weapon he has been in the postseason in his career. And again, we'll see if they just ride that big back through the big weather tonight. And braving the weather for us is Dan Graziano back in Buffalo. Graz, we know it is going to be cold tonight. What have the Ravens been doing to be prepared for the weather?
Well, honestly, Greeny, not as much as they would have liked to. On Wednesday and Thursday, their fields were frozen and they weren't able to practice outdoors. So John Harbaugh brought them indoors into their field house, opened all the doors and used big fans to pump cold air into the field house. Roquan Smith told me it got down to 35 degrees in there on Thursday. They were able to get outside and practice Friday. But, yeah, talking to the players, they said, look, it's cold. We've played in cold before. We've practiced in cold. We'll be ready for it. Greeny, you know that this is more about the quarterbacks than it is about the weather. So I asked teammates of both quarterbacks, what's different about your guy this year? And Rashad Bateman said about Lamar Jackson, really nothing. He said, I don't want to be the guy to make up some story that isn't true, but is awesome. Like, he's the same guy. He said, maybe second year in Todd Monken's system, a little more comfortable. And he said he's got a chip on his shoulder that gets bigger every year, and it's bigger this year than it was last year. In terms of Josh Allen in Buffalo, their right tackle, Spencer Brown, said, just like the rest of the team, Josh has been very calm, very collected. He's very, very in control of what he's doing. But Greeny, Spencer Brown said he looked in Josh Allen's eyes before they ran out on the field last week against Denver, and he said he's always loaded for bear. But this look, it looked like he had already killed the first grizzly bear, and he knew the second one was coming, and he was just gathering sticks for the fire and waiting for it. So I'm not entirely sure exactly what that means, but it sounds like Josh Allen's pretty locked in.
All right, Graziano, thank you. We'll be with you all day long as he gets set for tonight. Look, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, what can you say? Look, here's the storyline tonight. They've both had a lot of success in the wild card round. They're a combined 7-2. It is the rest of the postseason where they have both struggled. Each of them has one divisional round win. Allen's was against the Ravens. Both, of course, are still looking for their first Super Bowl appearance. And so that adds up to a word we love to use, which is pressure. Is there more pressure in your mind, Rex, on one of these quarterbacks versus the other?
Greeny, I think there's more pressure on Lamar Jackson. And the reason I say that is because Josh Allen has been absolutely terrific in these playoff games. And look, he hasn't. Josh Allen's not the reason you've lost games or been bad. Look at these numbers: 328 passing and rushing yards per game. That's the most in playoff history. All right, you see the 71 QBR. All right, Lamar Jackson's numbers. He's been good in the wild card games, but he has not been great in this spot. So to me, I think there's more pressure on Lamar here, and it's just. Look, both of them are historical type quarterbacks, but Josh Allen hasn't been beat. His teams have been beat.
Yeah, they're neither of them are. I mean, I'll say it, they're not accomplished in terms of my view. I mean, MVPs are one thing, but they want to be on championship teams. And what this game is, I think there's pressure. It's equal amount of pressure because you win this game, you get a shot at the title. That's basically what it is, right? Who's waiting? Everybody knows who's waiting. It's Kansas City. They're waiting for them. This game is a treat, though. I mean, this is basically Super Bowl-esque. I know they're both AFC teams, and here we are in the divisional round. I understand that, but just the treat that this is going to be to see two of the greatest quarterbacks that we've seen in the last 10 years know that the winner is moving on for that shot at the title, and the loser, the questions continue for the rest of the offseason in terms of the team and that quarterback and those players and those coaches that just can't get it done. Because if you win this one and you move on, that's another test with a lot of more pressure. Can you get by the Chiefs? That's the beauty of it right now. These two know what's on the horizon, and they're both up for the challenge.
And that's what's interesting to me. Somebody's going to go on to Kansas City, but there's going to be a rehash of the team that loses here. And either Lamar Jackson's going to be 1-4 in the divisional playoff round, or Josh Allen's going to be 1-5 in the divisional playoff round. We're going to be looking at another postseason loss for the Baltimore Ravens or another postseason loss for the Buffalo Bills. And two teams that have been really good, amongst the best, but not able to get to where they need to go in the postseason. And that's why the biggest thing that the Chiefs' bye did was it avoided both of these teams. They only had to beat one to get to the Super Bowl. Either of these teams has to beat the other and then the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. But to me, that's going to be so interesting. The team that loses today, the fallout over that loss and what this needs to do to try to get over the hump that it can't get past.
And you should want it that way. I mean, because this is the hard road. This is the hard road right now, having to get through Lamar, get through Josh, or vice versa, and then having to get through Patrick, and then the NFC representative, whoever that is. It's the hard road, and that's how you should want it. I remember our first championship going through the Raiders in the snow, the AFC, the Steelers, who were the top seed, and then the St. Louis Rams. That's the only way you want to do it to break through. Both of these teams have that opportunity.
But I agree with you, Rex. The narrative about these two quarterbacks is very different when it comes to postseason. I know they both haven't won in this round and in the championship, but listen, Josh has played unbelievable, right? I mean, we all think of the game in Kansas City when he left the field with, with 13 seconds left. It is not the same for Lamar. And Lamar is well on his way to becoming maybe the greatest regular season quarterback we have ever seen. And his postseason play hasn't even been close. It is not even average. It has not been good, right? And so I think there is a little bit more pressure on Lamar to finally deliver, right? We've seen him deliver and do so much except at this point, right? And can he do it? And to your point, Teddy, I don't remember a divisional round game like this in recent years, man. These two teams are behemoth, right? I know Kansas City's looming, but these two teams look so complete, right? And again, only one can go on. This is an unbelievable game.
I have one concern, though, a major concern for Buffalo in this game, and that is, Brew, how many times we see this team playing nickel almost the entire game, right?
Yeah.
If they do against this big
96%, Rex.
right
I mean,
here,
yeah.
like, oh my goodness, they got these big guys in there. There's a fullback. There's another tight end over here. And if you're going to live in this, get ready for more of the same.
It's the first
like
play
here's
of
a
the
little
game.
wham right here.
Yep.
First play of the game, he goes for 87 yards.
He's gonna get touched.
All right, now the corner sits back, makes a business decision. Right? He's sitting back going, wait a second.
It's a good business
That's
decision.
Derrick Henry. You know what? Nah, I'm going to live to fight another day. Unfortunately, your team's not, and they're going to be out of the playoffs. You got to show up. If you're going to play little, like Brew, if they're going to play small ball, all right, which they love to do.
Yes, they do.
And I know a lot of guys are missing. They got to spill and scrape. You got to spill everything. Get Derrick Henry to go east and west before he goes north and south. Because if not, uh-oh.
Yeah, do they think it's enough that Milano's back, Bernard's back, Teron Johnson is back, and they had those meetings this week. It's like, we didn't have our guys. We're going to play who we are, and we're going to play our guys. That's something for all fans to watch early, to see if Teron Johnson's in there, along with Milano and Bernard, against those big personnel groupings, and then you'll have the answer to Rex's question to where, yep, they're staying small.
Well, no, and it's sorry, and quickly, that play, that picture you just put up is such a perfect picture of how Buffalo loves to play for years. That is the Sean McDermott defense. They sit in a shell, they want to play light in the box, and they got exposed in the first game. I mean, 270 yards rushing. They're gonna have to do something uncharacteristic. They have got to play some more man. They've got to get an extra hat in the box, right? Lamar had 15 carries last week. Right, like they have their foot on the gas, and to stop that kind of run game, you're going to have to get more bodies down there.
That takes guts. That takes guts. You're taking a chance to change something going into this divisional round, to do something you didn't do a lot this year. You think they got the guts to do that?
But it takes brains too.
It does, yeah. But you got.
I'm not just going to sit back and take a butt kicking like that.
I'm sure they got all those big packages. If they do, it's McDermott, or I mean, just saying, put it in. We got to do it.
Should someone also mention in this conversation, we don't expect to see Zay Flowers tonight, and so maybe Baltimore has even a little less explosiveness in their passing attack, all the more reason why the Bills could afford to go a little bigger on defense?
Yeah, but it didn't stop them last week, right? They leaned on these other players, and they ran the football. And if we're going to be talking about playing in the cold, you're going to want to run the football tonight, right?
That's my point.
On that note, though, they put on that tape. We thought the same thing last week against the Steelers, and they put on that tape, and the Steelers didn't change. They played the same way they'd always been played, and they got exposed. So to your point, Rex, I think they do. They're going to have to be aggressive. You can't play conservative against this offense.
They have to, don't they? You've got to change the plan.
Again, you shouldn't be asking the question. You should be answering it.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các bạn đã quay trở lại với kênh YouTube của mình. Video ngày hôm nay của mình sẽ là video gì đây?